Please open up the book Virginia History to page 22. Put your finger on the word Patrick. Follow along as I read aloud. Patrick Henry, a lawyer in the House of Burgesses, spoke out against the British taxes. Other colonists agreed with him. Their slogan became, "No taxation without representation." They refused to buy British stamps or to pay the tax. Parliament repealed or took back the law, but then put new taxes on glass, paint, and tea. Colonists then refused to buy those goods. Parliament repealed all taxes except the tax on tea. On December 16, 1773, people in Boston, Massachusetts, dumped British tea into the harbor to protest the tea tax. Virginians read about the Boston Tea Party and decided to dump Virginia British tea into the York River. In response to this, Virginia's royal governor shut down the House of Burgesses in May 1774. This left Virginia's colonists with no representation in their government at all. Up here, it says, before Patrick Henry above became a successful lawyer, he was a storekeeper and a farmer. Page 23. First Continental Congress, August 1st, 1774. The Virginia House of Burgesses met secretly in Williamsburg on August 1st, 1774, calling themselves the Virginia Convention. They elected delegates to the First Continental Congress, which was to take place in Philadelphia. Pennsylvania Peyton Randolph, one of Virginia delegates, was chosen as the president of the Congress. The First Continental Congress sent a letter to the King George III explaining why the British laws and taxes were unfair to colonists. The king refused to even read the letter and sent more British troops to the colonies to force the colonies to pay taxes. Next section. Second Virginia Convention, March 23, 1775. The Second Virginia Convention met at St. John's Church in Richmond on March 23, 1775. Many Virginians did not want to fight against Great Britain. They were called Loyalists. But then Patrick Henry made a strong speech in support of the colonial freedom from unfair British actions. He ended this speech with the famous words, "Give me liberty or give me death." Virginia's leader voted to give the Continental Army men and supplies to use against the British. Page 24. The Revolutionary War begins April 19, 1775. In April 1775, soldiers in Boston marched to the Concord, Massachusetts, to take guns and ammunition away from the colonists. Paul Revere rode through the night to warn people that the British are coming. Colonists lined up to stop the British in the village of Lexington, and the first shots of the Revolutionary War were fired. Next section. Second Continental Congress, May 1775. The Second Continental Congress met in May 1775. Its members asked the Virginian George Washington to be the leader of the Continental Army. The colonies promised to send militias to support Washington. The father of our country, next section. George Washington knew that the British Army was much better trained and equipped than the colonists. However, he also knew that the colonists had at least one advantage. They were fighting on their home ground. Washington knew it would be hard for the British to fight a lengthy war so far away from home. This was especially so because they were also fighting in other places in the world at the same time. Washington wisely led the Continental Army in several battles, either managing successful retreats or surprise victories. Without Washington, the war may have been lost. This is one of the reasons why George Washington is often called the father of our country. Excerpt. This painting of George Washington shows the uniform he wore as a colonel in the Virginia militia. Page 25. The Virginia Bill of Rights, June 1776. In June 1776, leaders met in Williamsburg and elected a committee to write a Bill of Rights and a constitution. Virginia's constitution called for a general assembly elected by people to make laws. This constitution also called for a governor of Virginia to be elected. Patrick Henry was elected Virginia's first governor in 1776. The Virginia Bill of Rights was largely written by George Mason. Mason was a wealthy Virginia farmer and friend and neighbor of George Washington. In the Bill of Rights, Mason introduced the new ideas he thought in the rights of the individuals must be protected against the power of the government, and that the power of the government should come from the people. Mason's lists of rights were meant to make sure that the government could not become all-powerful and take away the rights of its citizens. The Bill of Rights included the United States Constitution of 1789, is based on the ideas of George Mason. One of Mason's ideas is found in the Constitution says that all humans are created equal. Another says that freedom of press and freedom of religion are important just for a just society governed by and for the people. Last page, page 26. Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776. News of Virginia's decision to support independence from Great Britain quickly reached Philadelphia. Other colonies soon followed Virginia's lead. Delegates were chosen from the Continental Congress to explain in writing the reasons the colonists sought independence from Great Britain. Virginia resident Thomas Jefferson was the main author of the Declaration of Independence. It stated that the right to govern belongs to the people rather than to the king. It also said that all people are created equal and have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It declared the United Colonies free and independent states. 56 people signed the Declaration of Independence on July 4, 1776. 7 of them were Virginians. Last section, Capital on the Move. Virginia's General Assembly felt it would be too easy for the British to attack Williamsburg, so they moved the capital to Richmond in 1779 in order to protect it. But in December 1780, the British marched on Richmond. The General Assembly then fled to Charlottesville. In June, the British tried to capture Virginia leaders. A Virginia soldier, Jack Jouett, spotted the British near Louisa, Virginia. He knew that Governor Thomas Jefferson and other colonial leaders were in Charlottesville, so he rolled all night in order to warn them. Most were able to escape. If you need to go back, you may do so by rewinding or starting this video again. Make sure that you add one detail for each person listed on the paper you have provided.